have been a number of developments today related to the UAW strike, with union members at the first Ford plant to walk off the job overwhelmingly approving the new contract.
Yeah, we are watching that one closely. Toyota also announced wage increases as Ford plans $50,000 buyouts amid reports that earnings fell short of some of their expectations.
Joining us once again to break down the latest are Wayne State Professor of Management Marick Masters and former UAW spokesperson Brian Rothenberg over Zoom. Thank you both for being here.
It's a pleasure to be here. Thank you.
All right, so let's first start with the Toyota news. Do you think that these are just ways to keep those workers, Marick, from unionizing, or is there something else at play?
Well, it's a little coincidental to believe that he just decided to do this at the moment for any other reason. But they're clearly sending a signal that they're aware of what's going on. They want to remain competitive. They'll couch it in terms that they need to be able to hire workers and retain workers, and that's why they did it. But they increased their wages about 9.2%, which is very close to the 11% in the contract. And there's no doubt that they've been clear all along that they want to be non-union, stay non-union. They'll do what it takes to remain non-union.
All right. Brian, we've been expecting Shawn Fain to eventually, or at least the union overall, to encourage or certainly support any efforts to unionize auto workers who are not already in a union. What do you think is next? Do you see that happening?
Well, I do. I think that they're going to see how this played out in these record contracts. They know that Toyota's doing well as these other companies were doing. And what it's going to say to a worker is, why in the world would I not want to have a say in my employment terms when other auto workers do? And that's a very powerful argument. So I do think some of this has flipped on its head. And I do think you're going to see a very aggressive, I think you've seen Shawn Fain be aggressive so far, and I don't think that's going to change when it comes to organizing.
Brian, you've talked about the fact that you are very proud of those workers and the way they've stood together and been cohesive throughout this whole thing. Do you feel like that energy is now inspiring other companies to follow suit?
I definitely think that's what Toyota's about, and I think that some of the things that the union was able to do, turning this corner, they've turned the corner from COVID, from 2009, they've even turned the corner from some of the unfortunate corruption issues that Rory Gamble turned around. This was the time to really go into negotiations and get what you could and show the world what you could do. And they definitely did that. And we'll see how these votes come in, but they're starting to come in, and you can see it's rare to get in the 80% range, even at the local level, when you're getting these contract ratifications.
Marick, we mentioned earlier that Ford earnings fell short of expectations. Is that just a result of the strike and a temporary blip on the radar, or a sign of things to come?
Well, I think it's partly due to the strike, but it's also due to the slowdown in electrical vehicles. I think they realize that demand for that is slowing down, and they have to make adjustments in how they calibrate the future in terms of production levels. So I think that the key thing for them is to just stay focused on what the future is and to get their business plan, get behind their business plan, and focus on that.
Brian, we are definitely on the edge of our seats to hear what Shawn Fain has to say tonight. Any idea of some of the things that he could touch on?
Well, he's been a little unpredictable, so who knows? But what I do know is he's got a very good contract to talk about with the vice president of Stellantis, and I think he'll talk about the council meeting and all of the things in there. I think Belvedere is a huge win in getting that reopened for those trucks. And I think he'll talk overall about the economic security that has been involved in this deal. So I do think you can expect a lot of that. And then, you know, President Fain always seems to make news at these things, so we'll see what happens. It's interesting, this tool of Facebook Live, which really just was in its infancy in 2019. We really couldn't use it because we would fight to try to use it, and it was just too new. But it changes a lot of things in the way you can communicate.
Yeah, we've talked a lot about Shawn Fain's style, just coming in as an insurgent and just doing things differently. Now that we're on the other side, almost on the other side, we've got these 3 tentative deals, Marick. What do you think is next? Is this just the way of the future for the UAW?
Well, I think clearly they will use the media to make their point. And the question is, how are they going to approach organizing? What they've tried in the past hasn't worked. they're going to have to be unconventional, and I think they're going to have to be unpredictable. And I would say that they probably want to tear a page from the lesson that's been learned at Starbucks so far, although it's a different industry, a different set of dynamics, but nonetheless, they have steep employer resistance to trying to organize. And I think one of the things that I learned about the Starbucks effort to organize workers there is that speed counts. Media, social media counts, and that getting your legal case out in a hurry so that you get your petitions filed with the National Labor Relations Board, all of those things are critical. You don't want to let the company have a lot of time to prepare and mobilize and wage aggressive campaigns against you.
A lot of lessons learned. Professor Marick Masters and former UAW spokesperson Brian Rothenberg, thank you both, as always, for joining us.
Thank you.
Thank you.